Well, first of all, thank you very much, all of those that have joined. Dimko, we have our very good friends Nazar and Manuel here. Thank you very much, guys, for joining. What's more, we have Madalam and Martin McLear. I know that Nazar is in Russia and Manuel is in Germany. Madalam and Martin, where are you guys from in this nice planet? UK, right.
Interesting. Getting the whole globe today.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so let's just start. Today we're going to talk about edge technology, right? And Portainer. How do we manage this, how it's done, and how cool it is. And it is very cool. Right, let me share my screen. Stop the yada yada and start sharing. Okay, can everybody see my screen? I hope so. Okay, here it is, Portainer. Right, so here we have our nice Portainer instance with, I've set up several edge devices, and I'll show you all these. Keep closer to the mic, but don't hold too far back. Is this better? Yeah, okay, cool. So I set up tiny little machines on Amazon. Okay, I got 8 of them set up. And I have a Portainer instance also running on Amazon. I actually used a domain that I have. Thanks, Dimko. Thank you very much. I have that I just used to play around with. It's called z11.net, and I just use it for these demonstrations and this to play around with. And here we have for our eight edge devices, and 2 of them are purposely unavailable, and I'll explain why. So the first thing I want to show you is how to add an edge device to a Portainer environment, and what is the difference between the several methods of adding devices to Portainer. Okay, so the first one and the most common one is the traditional agent, and the agent is if you may, real-time connection between Portainer and a given environment, Kubernetes, Docker, Azure ACI, in the sense that it will talk always in a peer-to-peer manner, synchronous, and that usually implies that this environment is set up in a way where you know, or there is assurance that Portainer has direct access to a given Kubernetes cluster, Docker Swarm, Docker standalone, whatever. So, and that is a stable VPN connection or a LAN connection, something running on your network, right? So that's the agent. The edge agent, which is what we're going to see today, this chap is slightly different. It's got an asynchronous connection to Portainer, if you may. I'm trying to explain it in a way that makes it easier to understand, right? So you can add hosts, you can add clusters or Docker Swarm or Docker standalone instances with the edge agent that don't necessarily have to be up and running. They could be offline, or they could be running on an unreliable network. And I'll give you an example. And it's a very plausible example. Let's say you have a sensor running in the middle of the ocean that collects data from the water, right? Or a river, or somewhere that has, not very easy access. And the sensor has a 2G, 3G connection, tiny little modem that connects to the world. So it's not necessarily stable. There could be a storm. There could be a whatever reason, natural reason that makes this connection is unstable. It's not, or it lags. It's not fast. So this is where you would use an edge agent, basically IoT devices, right, or edge devices. So the principle here is that your network doesn't have to be necessarily stable or point-to-point, or peer-to-peer. It doesn't have to be always synchronous. There could be asynchronicity, and it could be unstable. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to access this device. We even have clients that are accessing full-blown Kubernetes clusters. No, sorry, Docker swarms. Yeah, Docker swarms, but running in remote locations, right? So I hope I made it clear that how it works. So this is why it's interesting to have an edge agent. And here in my environments, I have 8. I haven't grouped them. There aren't any groups assigned to them, but I will tag them. And I'll explain the importance of tagging these agents. Any questions in the meantime in terms of, let me close this up, in terms of the difference between agent and end agent? Is it clear? Nice. Okay, thank you. Right. So I have these agents. They're like tiny little machines. Actually, I'm running in the free tier. I'm actually going to show you which tier I'm running on. So I added like this Ubuntu server running on the free tier, which is a micro, tiny little machine. It could have been the nano machine even. So, I mean, even that. Because the Portainer agent is very light, and it can run starting from 512 megabytes. I mean, obviously, the better you have, the more you have, the better. But it's made so it can run in on Docker or Kubernetes in a very light manner. It's not heavy at all on the machine that you're running it on. Okay, so that's the edge agent. Now, how do we organize this, and why is it important to organize your edge devices? So let's say I'm going to have 2 groups, 2 tags. One I'm going to call East. Okay, so the first 4 devices are going to be part of the East tag. Considering, let's say, an analogy to a location, but it could be any type of tag. This is just to organize my work with them. Okay. And the other 4 are going to be West. As you can see, Edge 5 is not working. I don't have access to West, and there's a reason for that, but you will see why soon. 6 West, 7 West, and finally 8 also West. Okay, so I've tagged my edge devices. Why? Well, before anything, I have to enable the edge compute features in Portainer to be able to manage these as edge devices. So I go into settings in Portainer and I select enable edge compute features, click save settings. And now I have a new set of options here in the edge compute menu: edge groups, edge stacks, and edge jobs. So let's start with edge groups. Portainer can manage up to 25,000 edge devices in one single instance. This is how much we've managed to, in a test environment, manage. And I don't know if it can go beyond that. I know we're working on having even more edge devices being supported by one single instance of Portainer, because some of our clients have 100,000 or even more. But for now, we can say it does support 25,000 edge devices. So there has to be a way to organize all these devices, right? So this is where the groups come in. And here I have the tags, right? So I'm going to create an edge group called East. And there's 2 ways of doing this. I can either do it manually by just clicking on the device, right? But let's say you have here 1,000 devices. It wouldn't be that easy, right? Or from a dynamic perspective, with a partial match and a full match. Hold on, let me do something. I'm going to get edge number 4, and I'm going to say you are part of 2 groups, East and West. Why? You'll see why. So East, dynamic. It can be static, again, or dynamic. And in dynamic, the full match has to be East, right? Or the partial match has to be East. What I'm trying to say here If I add east and west, full match, I'm saying that the parameter for this group is that it has to have these two conditions, right? Therefore, I only have one device that has a full match of these two conditions. This is AND, right? The equivalent to AND. In terms of partial match, it's AND or. So I have both, east and west. If I delete west, I have all the ones I have east. But eventually, if it has another tag, it's fine, right? So I want to make sure I have all the east tagged edge devices here. So again, you have to organize your devices, right? Because typically, when you're talking about IoT sensors or devices, you have like tons of those doing the same thing. And you will probably want to deploy the same containers on these devices. I'm going to add this edge group, and there it is. I know I have 4. I'm going to add another one called West. And again, I'm going to do it dynamically with West. And you see, I have now 5 devices, if you want a full match, or also with a partial match, because one of them also has West. I hope this makes sense. It just sounds a bit confusing, but when you start playing around with it, you will see what I mean. So East has 4 and West has 5. Right. Maybe I want to add another one, which is called East. I think I can do underscore West. Dynamic full match of both. So I have 3 groups. Although I have 8 machines, if you add this up, it might sound like you have much more, right? But it's just because of the combination of the tags that I have. So again, this is why it's important to organize your edge devices into groups. So you can have a clear management of how you're going to use these devices in your Portainer instance. Right. Any questions so far? Is that clear? Cool. Thanks, Dimko. Now let's go to the next step, edge stacks. So now I want to start deploying stacks, because in this case, for the edge management, we deploy applications as stacks to these groups. We do not deploy stacks to one given machine unless there's only one machine in the group. But the concept that we always deploy applications into groups, never individual machines. So I want to set up a web server here. I have a stack for Caddy. And which group I'm going to choose? I'm going to choose East. So I want to have this web server running on my East set of machines. The interesting thing about this is that I can use some compose that is in a Git repository, for instance. I can use an Edge template. I can upload it from a file. But in this case, I'm going to use the web editor. And I have to make a slight change because we do not support version 2 of Compose anymore. So in all 4 machines running on the East group, I'm going to deploy Caddy. All I have to do is click on deploy. And here I have a visual representation of the success of this deployment. So if I refresh this, 3 of the machines have acknowledged the stack. 1 has already deployed it successfully. All 4 of them are running this successfully. So as you can see, I very easily deployed the web server on this machine, or better said, on this group of machines with one single stack. This is the beauty about, let me close my email. So this is the beauty of managing sets of machines where you have unique repeatability, because although it's used to manage edge or IoT devices, maybe you could use it for repeatability purposes of environments. And this is one of the beauties of edge management with Portainer. Okay, now let's add another stack here. I want to make sure that I have the database running on my West set of machines. Again, let me get this. I've got my SQL one here. Yeah. I'm going to go and place this here. Again, I have to change it to 3. I'm sorry. And there you go. Deploy the stack. Now, it should act slightly different. The reason why I should see for West 5 machines, but only 3 have acknowledgement, right? How come? Why is that? Because let's not forget, and this takes slightly longer because it's the database, it takes slightly longer to deploy. The reason why only 3 machines acknowledged is because, let's not forget 2 of them. One is, I haven't managed to connect, and the second one doesn't even exist. And this is another interesting thing about edge management with Portainer. I can provision devices into my structure, into my infrastructure, and add them later accordingly. You don't necessarily have to only deploy what you have in terms of infrastructure. I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a manufacturing site, and in a given plant, you're going to have several devices, right? Let's say 10 devices. But you know you're going to grow up to 30. All you do is deploy all the 30 devices into Portainer, and once they start being installed in your plant, they start becoming, they're already pre-provisioned in Portainer, and then they start coming live. So this is another really cool thing about Portainer in terms of edge management. You don't necessarily have to have all your infrastructure or only your infrastructure that you're going to run on. You can pre-provision much more than what you have in your set of edge devices. So 3 of them have successfully installed MySQL. Let's see how this is working. So I know that 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are an east. And again, because it's asynchronous, sometimes it takes slightly longer to connect. They might even throw an error, which is fine because it's creating a first snapshot. Don't worry about this error. It does happen. On the second attempt, it should connect. And there you go. And here I see I've deployed, and interestingly, actually, Edge Device 4 is on both groups, and it deployed Caddy and MySQL, and it puts the edge tag, it's an edge name before the container name. So this gives you a visual representation of how this was deployed, right? And as you can see, they were deployed as stacks, right? I think that if I go into stacks, there you go. I see the stacks that came from the main Portainer instance into this device, right? If I go into Edge 3, let's see if it connects, excuse me. I should only see the web server. Again, it's still creating the snapshot. So once it connects and refreshes the snapshot, I should see Edge 3. Oh, sorry. Sometimes it takes longer than what we want. Come on, don't do this to me now. There you go, Edge 3. And Edge 3 only has the web server. So again, organizing your edge devices is extremely important. This is going to determine how you're going to deploy your stacks, where you're going to deploy your stacks. And in this case, I knew I needed both web server and database deployed into that given one machine. So it was a matter of organizing this edge device. So it was part of both east and west tags. Okay, so, but Adolfo, you have two devices that are off, and I'll show you what I did wrong. And I did it on purpose. These machines are all running in a VPN, right? So it's a closed network, meaning they're only connecting to Portainer via the VPN subnet. And here I didn't put the right IP address into this device. So I have to fix it. What can I do? It's not hard. I'm going to edge 5, delete edge 5. And add it, edge 5. I'm not going to use the domain name. I'm going to use the internal VPN IP. I want it on West. Add environment. And here I know that the IP address is 10.10.10.5. It should very soon pick up edge 5. Hopefully, let's see. Maybe what I need to do is reinstall the agent. Let's check. Yeah, maybe I have to reinstall the agent. So let me see who's edge 5 here on my instances. Let's see. Edge 5 is this guy. So now I'm going to show you actually how to deploy the Portainer instance, which is also something very nice. Let me just make sure. Continue. Yeah, okay. I know what I did. Because I deployed it wrongly, it's never going to pick up the right definition. So I have to log into this machine. So that I have a key. It's the IP address. Let me increase the font. Put a sudo into it. Dr. PS, right, I'm going to delete this Portainer agent. Agent. Oh yeah, sorry, I have to stop it first. Oh God, sorry. Move it, and then now I'm going to do a proper deployment of this Portainer agent in this edge device. Here for each edge device, there's a key. I'm going to increase the font so you can see. So this key is specific to this edge device. So you have to make sure that each edge device has its own key. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect. And also this key is what ensures security in terms of connection of this device to your Portainer instance based on a token, right? Or a key, if you may. So now I've copied the command to add this device. Let me see Dr. PS. It's up and running. Update. And let's see if it's now has a heartbeat. Yeah, there you go. It has a heartbeat. Now, wait a minute. Didn't I define on the edge stacks that I would have a database to be installed on that group? So edge 5 was part of the West group. And look what's happening. Portainer identified that this machine is finally alive and it has to deploy that stack. I didn't need to do anything. All I had to do was add the edge device, and Portainer automatically does the job of pushing the stack to this new machine in the group. And there you go. Edge 5 has already has the database up and running. Let's check via the command line, Docker PS. And yes, the MySQL database is running here. If I go to the Portainer instance. Might give me that error. It needs to set up the snapshot. It's okay. Again, it's an asynchronous connection, and the connection to the free tier instance in Amazon is not the best. So this really happens with a good connection. This never happens, but because this free tier machine doesn't have the most the fastest. It's a shared connection with the AWS environment, so it does take some time. All right, so we're into Edge 5. And if I check the containers, there you go. It's here up and running with this container. So again, this is also really cool about the Edge technology in Portainer. Once it identifies that the device is up and running, it starts pushing the stacks automatically to those devices. But Adolfo, what about Edge 8? So first I showed a way of fixing a connection. Now I'm going to really add this new device to my Portainer instance. Here I have Edge 8. Look at the IP address. Edge 8, this is the IP address. I can copy it from here. Right. Log out. It's the same thing. It's a very similar method. The difference is I fixed a connection. So what this means is it shows that it's secure. It's not a matter of trying to fix things. You really have to redo the connection so it's properly deployed. And now I'm going to deploy a machine that just arrived in the plant. And now I'm going to put it up and make sure it starts working with Portainer as an edge device. It's a Docker standalone. I'll copy the command, paste it. You see it's pulling the Portainer agent. It didn't have the Portainer agent deployed yet, or as an image. It wasn't cached. It's already up and running. I can update the environment here. It should have a heartbeat. Yes, it does. And let's go to Edge Stacks. And as you can see, Edge 8 is part of the West group, and it's already receiving the stack, and very soon it should be up and running. There you go. We've got on Edge 8 the database up and running. My friends, any questions? I've got some questions here. Ansible, yeah, let's say it is, but it's not really Ansible. But let's say it gives that. Hello, Kenneth. It gives that sort of automation and deployment of stacks into your environment, right? And then finally, there's the Edge jobs. So the Edge job works as cron, if you may. It uses actually the cron syntax, if you may. And let me try doing something here. Let me see if it works. Let me see how to do that. Oh, we have 30 minutes. Oh, yeah, we can do this. Okay, GoToFi. I'm going to deploy GoToFi. For those who don't know what GoToFi is a messaging server, so you can send alerts. You can run this as an alert server, and via curl or HTTP, you can send alerts to your cell phone, to your console, and wherever you have a browser running, you can have GoToFi. Let me see if it gives me, what ports should I run? This is not very useful. It doesn't give me much of an information here. Let me Docker Hub. But we have time to show what I mean with the Docker. What is the job stack? So that does it have a Docker Compose? Maybe it does. Oh, it should show how to do documentation, installation. Oh, Docker. There you go. Haha. So in this Portainer instance, the main one here, I'm going to deploy Gotify. See the image name is Gotify server. Okay, so I'm gonna add this container, Gotify, and the port is Gotify data, app data. Well, how can we do this? So before that, I'm just gonna add a volume, call it Gotify data. Okay, now I will deploy Gotify server. Port will be, it can be 80. Yeah, it could be 80. I'm not using port 80 on this instance, and I'm gonna add the volume. What's it asking for? App data. App data. Let's go back here. Data and the volume I will select is the Gotify data. Let me see if I need anything else. Yep, I think that's over. Okay, so everything seems to be fine. I'm going to deploy this. Worked. Nice. It's starting. Let's see. Okay, it's working. And I'm going to have to open this port here on this instance on AWS. So I'll go to security. Oops, too fast. Edit inbound rules. I'm going to open port 80. From anywhere. So in theory, if I type in Portainer.zz11.net, it should make me to Gotify. I think it's admin. I want to make sure it's admin. Yeah, there you go. Right, so I'm going to create a new application here, new app, and I'm going to call it Edge. So I can have a token. This is the token. And the way to send messages to Gotify is via curl. Let me see how that goes again. First, again, push messages, right? So I get, let me get this example. Let me open a text editor here. This is very geeky stuff, right? Copy. So it's going to be HTTP. I'll show you why I'm doing this in a minute. You'll understand. Next. And this is the token. This should actually run from my machine, from where I am logged in now. I'm going to open a terminal here. No one. So in theory, if I do this, there you go. I should get a message. And I got a message. Right. So all of this I set up to show you the following. Edge jobs, right? So I want to make sure that notify alive. And every 30 minutes, I have title, hello, and the message is going to be, I am alive. Right. I'm going to open up the priority to 8. 8 is good. Right. So what's going to happen? Oh, hello. Sorry. So every 30 minutes, let me get the cron rule for 30 minutes. Cron. I'm not good with cron, but the cron 30 minutes. I love cron top guru. Okay. So here, the cron syntax, every 30 minutes, my edge devices, and I can pick the machines. I want to, let's say I can pick each one of them. Let's say all of them. Let's say just 2, right? want to make sure these are critical. I want to make sure that these two every 30 minutes. Obviously, we're not going to wait 30 minutes because we're going to run out of time. I'll leave it every 1 minute. And this is going to start pestering us. And I created a script. So basically, this is what I did. I have a script that is running on these machines on a given amount of time. So it's basically an edge job. It could be a backup. It could be a restart. I mean, you might need, whatever it is, you can have these edge jobs and all these devices. And here you go. It's starting to see, hello, I'm alive. So both machines started sending and the edge job started working. So this is also critical because sometimes you need to run remote tasks on these edge devices. And the best way to do it by a Portainer is defining an edge job. Right, so I think we've covered all the aspects of edge compute with Portainer. I think it's an amazing and very powerful feature that only Portainer has. You will not see that in any other type of technology. As far as I know, only Portainer has this type of capability to deploy this type of technology, and it's very flexible. It's very stable, and it works really nicely. We were quite surprised, actually, to see the amazing feedback we've received from our clients, and a lot of, I'm actually going to mute this, otherwise it's going to drive me crazy. And a lot of other prospective clients that go, hey, this is an amazing technology. I've been in demos and webinars with clients that go, wow, I'm going to buy Portainer only because of this, because this is amazing. And the other cool thing is that this is available in the business edition and in the community edition. So on any of the two editions of Portainer, you can have these features available to you. The difference is, if I'm not mistaken, that, no, actually there isn't a difference. That's pretty much it. In terms of groups, you can see that both East and West, I cannot remove them anymore because they're busy with stacks running on them. Now, East-West, I didn't deploy anything on it, so I could remove East-West if I wanted to, just by clicking remove and remove. Okay, questions. Dimko, what do you think?
It's awesome. Let me know if I'm muted. Yes, I am. It's awesome, awesome, awesome. I've seen that already multiple times, and each time it kind of amazes me how we are able to build that feature, which is used by so many clients, and like people are just generally are happy about that. So that makes me happy as well.
Yeah, it's quite impressive. The other interesting thing about this technology is that we do support, although I haven't really seen it, but you can add, I would say it's quite rare, right? Edge agent to, let's call this Edge 9, to Kubernetes nodes. If you by some chance have a Kubernetes node that runs one of those lightweight distributions, you can also use Kubernetes or Docker Swarm. In this case, I set it up for Docker standalone, but you can also use lightweight Kubernetes distros, and it runs as well and as nicely and as smoothly as Docker, right? Although today, predominantly, companies are using more Docker standalone for edge devices, but it's not a limitation. I mean, I think in the future still points to Kubernetes in some way, and maybe you will see devices running Kubernetes, and there you go. It will be supported by Portainer, definitely. So yeah, guys, questions, doubts? Yeah, thank you, Dimko, join the community.
We also had a nice discussion with Nazar here on his feedback.
Okay.
Portainer probably needs like a provisioner, so you can spin up an environment, either that would be the Kubernetes or anything like that, right from the Portainer instance, and that could be the Kubernetes in, I don't know, in Azure Cloud or in AWS or in anything else.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Nazar. One of the ways that you could do it today is with the API. You can do programmatically. Sorry to leave until the presentation. Yes, Martin, it will be available on.
Yes, will be. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So one way to do it today, Nazar, is having like a mass provisioning or pre-provisioning of devices or environments, be those Kubernetes or Docker, is with the API. So let's Swagger Hub. Portainer Swagger Hub. I think it's, yeah, here it is. So our API supports extensively edge agents. And I think it's actually one of the best ways to use, you see, edge groups, edge jobs. Let me increase the font a bit. Edge jobs, edge stacks, templates, even edge and endpoints. So here in endpoints, you can define what type of endpoint you want. In this case, it would be an edge agent. And the tags via groups or tagging. And let me see, users, tags. Here you go, you have tags. So a very interesting way of doing pre-provisioning is using the API. Oh, yeah, it would be nice to have an interface with that. And I 100% agree with you. I'm sorry, it would be lovely if we can also have an interface for mass pre-provisioning of edge devices. And we'll definitely take that back to our engineering and development team and tell them, hey guys, very, very good feedback from our community in terms of having a pre-provisioning for mass deployment of environments and edge devices in Portainer. We'll definitely take that into account. That's very good. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. We are, for those who celebrate Christmas, I'd love to give you a present, and that would be giving you back 30 minutes of your time so you can enjoy with your family, with friends. I hope you, even for those who do not celebrate Christmas, I hope you're all well around the world. Been challenging moments and times for us, for everyone. It's been a challenging year, and I'm honored and very proud of being in Portainer and being also able to give our knowledge back to all of you. So thank you so much. Hope everybody's well. Dimko, like always, my friend and partner in crime, thank you so much for joining. And let's wait for our next Portainerd season next year, I hope. More to come. And I believe Dimko is going to also start leading more of these Portainerd series with his amazing brain and experience and DevOps and development. So more news and cool things to come next year. Have at least an amazing new year for those who celebrate New Year's now in the Christian calendar. For those who don't, have an amazing time. Hope to see you soon next year. Thank you very much. Dimko, my friend.
Stay strong and talk to you later. Thanks for all the support, guys, and see you later.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.